Welcome. Welcome to Sue's University of Life. I'm Sue Gaskell. Thank you for sharing some time with me here on my YouTube channel. And the talk is a continuation of why do you say yes when you want to say no? And this is talk 3, and looking and investigating at why we say yes when we want to say no led us to boundaries. And I wonder what you know about boundaries in relationship to saying no, or at least having the choice to know that you can say yes or no. And sometimes it's simply because we've learned old programming. We believe in our thinking, in our programming from way, way back, that if we say no, then we might be in trouble. If we say no, somebody might not like us. If we say no, then it might create fears of rejection and abandonment issues. So it's an incredibly large area that we're talking about, this umbrella. And under the umbrella is a huge array of reasons. And it's that I enjoy pursuing and sharing, and hopefully getting you to think, just reflecting about the way you are and how you do things. So today it's about boundaries. Again, just a brief insight. There will be a talk at a later date, a full talk. So why do we say yes when we want to say no? Then we uncover the fact that if we do say yes, then people are nice to us and we like that feeling. And if we say yes, then we feel needed, and that adds to our feel-good factor. If we say yes, then we never have to look at any sort of conflict issues. We never have to look at self-esteem issues. So in reverse, what would happen if you said no? What would actually happen if you changed the boundary and you started saying, with caution, I can say no? What happens then? Up come some issues, big issues, and I want to dwell on one particular feeling that I believe is at the root of so many people just not daring to say no, and that is their fear of rejection. Their fear of rejection, if they do ask for their needs to be met, has been so damaged that they don't ever want to risk that and risk that horrible feeling that comes with it. So they stay in their comfort zone, in their comfort blanket, and they never step out, and they create a boundary within that they never ever push their own boundaries. And so that's quite important. And obviously I'm talking to you who's listening, and it's for you to have a look at your thoughts around, well, simply, do you say yes? Do you say no when you mean no? And is there a difference, and is there a feel-good factor in it, or is it about just accepting and wanting to play a role so that we never ever feel threatened? And that's really this human condition that we live in. That's what's so exciting, that we can actually look at all these different areas and thoughts and feelings and just genuinely try things out in a way that we might not have done before. And so that's what I urge you to do, to question things, be curious. It really is okay to be curious. So a boundary issue, I'll leave you with this little thought. A boundary issue is you question what's happening with your boundaries, you personally, if you begin to feel resentment. Because once you feel resentment, you feel that feeling and you acknowledge that you feel that, it's because somebody's pushed the boundary or stepped over your boundary. And your resentment is because you actually envy people that have the power to disregard your boundaries or disrespect. There'll be stuff going off in you. For instance, if I say to somebody, okay, I'll see you at 4 o'clock, and then that person, we're good friends and I've been seeing him for a while, and they continually come at 1/4 past, then that 15 minutes is my time, and I feel that's a boundary of not respecting my time. And sometimes I have a feeling of resentment. I could accept that that person always comes a bit later, and if that followed through with everybody, then we wouldn't have appointments, we wouldn't have a system that worked. So for me, I then said to this person, okay, 4 o'clock, and on this occasion it's a lady, she'd say, yeah, 4 o'clock. So I'd say, right, I'll give you 10 minutes. If you're not there by 10 past, then I'm not hanging around, because I want to do whatever it is we were going to do. Now that person, when I actually said that, said, oh, she was quite taken aback. Why are you saying that? And I said, well, because if it's 4:15 you're going to be here, then let's make the appointment for 4:15. She said, well, I can't always guarantee that I'm going to be there at 4:15. So I said, well, I'll say 4 o'clock then. And in my head, I'll write down 4:15 that we're meeting. So that's about as realistic as it can get with boundaries, and stay friends and be able to appreciate the other person's point of view. Because on this occasion, my friend said, point taken, I realise now that I'm not being respectful of your time, and that within reason, because we all need a guideline, then I get that, and I am always late, and maybe I need to look at why I'm always late. And I said, yes. I said, we can laugh about it. And I said, I don't think badly of you. I did feel, though, a bit disrespected, and that I get myself ready on time for doing whatever we're doing, and you're not there. And I could easily let it go, only I respect our friendship enough to tell you that I do have a little bit of resentment around this. So can we both look at our own issues, and will you think about maybe, being on time? And she said, yes, you've given me something to think about, and I respect the honesty. And so for me, boundaries are huge. And it doesn't mean that somebody's right or wrong. It's about knowing what makes you tick, knowing what makes things happen for you, and knowing that if you risk telling the truth and you say, look, this is how it is, and you present the truth to somebody and say, look, these are my boundaries and there's no exceptions to this. It's the same in reverse when somebody doesn't cancel, and then you're waiting, and then that person an hour later might phone and say, oh, here's the words they use, not me, I'm sorry, I didn't get there. Well, again, that's a disrespect of somebody's time and boundaries. So think about it yourselves. If you're not going to be able to make it, if you're going to be late, then think about the other person and think about putting the effort in. Because anything short of letting people know, having guidelines, having boundaries, creates resentment, and people genuinely want to communicate, and it starts with you. So make sure that you remember that around saying no, there's lots more than just saying yes or no. And then I'll happily teach you avoiding tactics on the next little talk about, can you say no? Why do you say yes? And this was 3 in that series, and this was on boundaries. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.